Final 7 minutes of the first of our 3 qualifying sessions here in Marrakesh in Morocco. Ivan Muller, Jose Maria Lopez and Sebastian Loeb fastest at the moment for the Citroën racing team, as we see Gregoire de Moustier in the Craft Bamboo Chevrolet. Martin Haven, Harry Volkard alongside me in the booth down in pit road, Ben Constantinos and Alex Legui. Welcome to our coverage of the races of Marrakesh, rounds 3 and 4 of the championship on this hot street circuit. The end of the 30-minute qualifying period. And Harry Volkard, we've seen Citroën, Chevrolet swapping the top positions, but so far Honda haven't been able to match either in terms of pace.
No, they've not really figured, have they, especially in this session. Some cars do lend themselves a little bit better to certain circuits, and maybe the short wheelbase of the Honda isn't quite suited around here. Perhaps the chicane or something's not quite so good over, but it'll still be interesting to see Gabrielli here, because he really needs to pull something out the bag to get through the next stage. But looking at the rate that he's caught Bonani, I'd say he's probably doing a fairly good job. Yeah,
Mehdi Bonani raced here previously in a Honda. In fact, his Honda is the one raced by Dusan Volkovic this year. But in 2015, Bonani, as he comes across the line, in 9th place, and Tarquini 5th behind him. Good call, Harry, on how quick he was catching. Bonani in a Citroën, not run by Total Citroën Sport like the other 4 cars, but run by Sebastian Loeb Racing. So he has gone to the championship-winning machinery. And Gabriele Tarquini, 5th quickest using the toe. The bright yellow cars are the brand new Lada Vestas. New chassis, new car, a whole new model for Lada, and very much an absolutely state-of-the-art modern car in terms of racing. Rob Huff, on his first flying lap on his own, went 3rd quickest among the Citroëns. This is his final tilt. Wants to get into the top 12. Behind him, and hoovering up a little bit of a toe in the slipstream, will be James Thompson, who's down in 16th. Huff got a really well hooked up lap out of the car earlier, and this is going to be very interesting to see what this car can do on pace, Harry.
Yeah, it's still early days for this car, but it's a proper bit of kit when you go and have a look at it. And they haven't done the testing mileage, they haven't got the running that the other guys have had over the last year and all the development packages, but I'm sure by the end of the season we're going to see this thing definitely up there, mixing it with the big guns, if you like.
Well, Huffy on an out lap with Thompson behind him. Fastest on the first sector moment is the man who's 13th. Qinghua Ma of China. That is him in the number 33 Citroën C-Elysée. Ma doing a full season this year, did a number of races last. So this is first time in Marrakesh. Harry Volkard, you've been in that situation when you came here with Bamboo to this tiny little ribbon of tarmac between the concrete walls. And what's your first priority, to find speed or to not find walls?
Yeah, to not find walls is the #1 goal, especially in testing. And that makes it hard, because the first time you're really giving it big licks and you've really got the stops all pulled out is in qualifying. And it's difficult because you can't see through the corners, and you learn it on a simulator, you know which direction the next corner's going in, but nothing quite prepares you for when you sat there in qualifying and it's like, right, off you go then. Go on, son, show us what you've got.
Ma on a quickie, fastest first sector of all, personal best in the second sector. We don't want to see the team, we want to see the time. Huff comes across the line to start a flyer. He's in 11th. Ma goes fastest of all, and behind him James Thompson came into the pit lane, so Tomo still with an issue with the car. But Ma, fastest of the Citroën drivers. Thiago Montero checks the takeaway menu.
Good lap, that. Two times faster than the other Citroëns.
Blinding lap. We're down in the 43s. Track record 1:44.710, set in the race last year. It was a 7:20 in qualifying. The race, the track gets less and less dusty, more and more grippy during racing. As a result, gets quicker. Ma 43.6, so a second inside, and that's a year's worth of development on these cars. Bonani, boom, really hits that big sausage curb a bit amidships there. So the remaining 2 minutes and 45 seconds, unlikely to see any of the other Citroens come out to challenge Ma, because this session does not set the grid. Bernani, again, taking a bit too much of the sausage curb on the way in, pitches it across the road. You're too close to the wall on the way out. You've got to steer more, brake more, feather the throttle, whatever it is. You can't take the speed you want through that chicane.
These Citroens are awesome over those curbs, though, don't they? That, you know, compared to even the Chevrolet looks good, but when you compare them with the Lada, for example, that when the Lada hits the curb, it seems to really take air and push it wide.
Bernani and Huff in the top 12, sorry Harry, and Norbert Mikulic in his factory spec Honda in 13th place. Dusan Borkovic in the 3-generation old Honda right behind him, quarter second back in 14th. That's not great for Honda. They want to get all 4 cars up in the top if they can. Should be 5. Ricard Rydell not here this weekend. He's at home ill in hospital back in Sweden. He fell ill last week when he was in Mallorca doing some warm weather training. So hopefully he will be a lot better. We got another race in 2 weeks in Hungary. His Nika Racing car is here. The sponsors and guests are here. Unfortunately, Ricard is back home. So get well soon, Ricard.
Norby's fully on it here. Set his personal best in sector 2 there.
And he needs to be, because he's got to get into the top 12 to progress. This is his only oh no, he's got one more lap, but I'm not sure the tyres will stand it. Borkovic in front, coming to the line. And Dusan is on a better lap, personally. Personal best, second sector. And as he comes to the line, Borkovic, will he be in the top 12? No, 1:45.3, his personal best 1:45.0. Mikulic, though, is in the 12th, 10th place. Bernani is 12th, and Huff is pushed out of Q2. Now, is Huffy still on the lap? Yes, he is. Mikulic goes for one more, because this now is a dogfight to stay in the 12th. We got Mikulic, we got Daste, we got Bernani, Huff, Borkovic, and John Philippi all on track, trying to get 2 places. Bernani. Huff looks to have rolled out of the lap. Oh, I don't know, 33.8 first sector. Bernani's was a 33.2.
It's so 10 to 13, or all within a tenth of a second. That's how close that little scrap is.
Yeah, well, Huff 2.3 seconds off, shot the chicane. He's either run out of tyre or brakes, and I'm afraid is not going to make Q2. He's 13th at the moment. And penalties for engine changes and driving infringements in Argentina will only come into operation after qualifying has temporarily set the grid. Dusan Borkovic in 14th. Personal best first sector. Second sector there or thereabouts, not a personal best. Top speed from the car, from him, down through the speed trap. 257 kilometers an hour. 260 is 160 miles an hour. So that's how fast they're going. 159 miles an hour. Thank you so much. And across the line, timing screen shows a 1:45.08, so not enough to go through into Q2. Mikulic 8th, so he is in, and Bernani is mullering the curbs again, really rocking over those curbs. 252 in a straight line. Borkovic's Honda 257.
Bernani's probably fairly safe here. There's not really anybody apart from James Thompson behind who can really challenge him now.
Yeah. Daste's finished his lap and taken the flag. Only 2 cars. No, none on track now to take the flag from Mehdi Bernani, so he will go through into Q2. Fastest 12 go through. So we will see those on screen. Mar, Muller, Lopez, Loeb, the factory Citroens. Then Montero, Tarquini, the Castrol Hondas. Then Vallant in his Chevrolet, ahead of Mikulic in the Zengo Honda, the black and red car we've just been watching. Coronel and Chilton, the 2 Royal Motorsport Chevrolets. Dasta's Chevrolet, the Munich Motorsport car, is 12th behind Mehdi Bernani. And Rob Huff, unfortunately, 13th spot. By how much? By 11 hundredths of a second behind Stefano Daste. So they will head out almost immediately into Q2. 15 minutes to decide the race 2 grid. Waiting for the start of Q2 here in Marrakesh, Morocco for the World Touring Car Championship. Let's get down to the pit lane though and catch up with Ben Constantinos. He's with Rob Huff, who was in 13th place after Q1.
Huffy just talking to his engineer about how the car felt. Rob, if I can just interrupt for a second. Let's see your face. Thank you. How was it out there?
Yeah, tough. No one wanted to give me a slipstream, which was a shame, but you know, we're just struggling for a bit of overall pace. We've got a few problems with the car, gearboxes, something's moving around a little bit, but you know, the fact is the boys did a great job to repair the car in 45 minutes after quite a hefty shunt this morning. So, you know, well done to the boys. It's just a shame that we've missed it by one place.
It's going to be hard work tomorrow, right?
That was always going to be hard work. It's always hard work, Ben. You should try singing one of these.
No, any time.
So Rob Huff pretty upbeat, and Harry, he did make it through to Q2. He's got a good position in race 1, but the car was quick.
Yeah, it was. He did a great lap early on there in the start of that first session and straight on it. And it was interesting he said about the gearbox issue there, because I did notice on one of his in-car shots, he was being quite tentative with the gear lever going down the box. He was, you know, being very... Normally you can just bang these boxes down, but he was having to really feed it in.
Fastest 12 cars out on track now for Q2. Let's hear from Dusan Borkovic.
Yeah, difficult for Rob and also difficult for Dusan. Not the result that you wanted there.
Yes, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think that I'm not present here. I had a really tough last 2 weeks, and I decided to drive only because of my dad. But I think that I'm not ready. And for the other side, I think the car is not on the level of the works car, and we will speak about that. I know that the dampers and a lot of things are not the same. Last year I was P4 here with the Chevrolet. Now I'm 10 places later. I don't think so. I don't think that I forgot to drive. There are a lot of other things, but I don't know what we are going to do, at least for the next race this weekend. No, but for the next race maybe my condition will be better. At least my brain will be in better shape now. For now I don't feel really good, and we will decide if maybe tomorrow I will not drive. I will see, because I'm not in a good mood at all.
Deepest sympathy, Dusan.
It's a horrible, horrible situation to find himself in. He hasn't got with a feeling with the car. Physically, it's painful, uncomfortable, stroke dangerous, because he's starting to lose feeling in his left foot. That's the brake foot. And this is a circuit that requires, above all else, really rock-solid control on the brakes. And the last week, well, you know, that's, again, that puts a whole new perspective on everything. So whether he drives or not tomorrow, I have to say, I certainly wouldn't blame him if he decides not to. In any racing car, you've got to be on it, and in any racing car in a World Championship, you've really got to be on it, and on a street circuit, you can't be messing around.
Yeah, sometimes you get that feeling where you kind of almost preempt there being an issue and probably a crash, and he's been really struggling. So you know, perhaps he's got a bit of an insight and has decided that maybe it's for the best not to crack on, which is fair enough. It's his prerogative.
And you know what? Sometimes the bravest move is to say no. However, I think we're seeing the benchmark being, not subtly, but remarkably, dramatically altered here. Jose Maria Lopez, 2.2 seconds up in Sector 2 and across the line to go fastest by 2.6 seconds. Ivan Muller was behind him. Tom Chilton has bailed on that lap. Chilton with a very good first sector, faster even than Lopez, and then the second sector, well, he cracked a brake in practice yesterday. I wonder if he's done the same here.
It could well be. I mean, this is common problem that we're seeing here, that with the brake temperatures and the circuit temperature, brakes are having issues. And again, the last thing you need is a brake failure around here because there's no runoff.
Michelisz second in the Honda, Muller third in the Citroen, Vallon fourth in the Chevrolet, then Sebastian Loeb, Gabriele Tarquini, Tom Coronel. This is the first foray. Qinghua Ma has gone straight into the pits, outlap, and then end of his flyer, he's gone into the pits. So he was not happy with his car, and I've got to say, I'm surprised Chilton hasn't gone in. This Lopez or Ma? Lopez. Okay, so that lap won't count. Outbraked himself comprehensively here. But Harry, this is what happens. You're pushing for 100th of a second under braking, and sometimes you're 100th away from where you needed to be.
Well, we saw how late he braked there on that onboard footage. Earlier on, we were watching, I think it was Rob in the Larder was braking at 150 metres, and it looked almost like he went halfway between the 100 and the 150 metres. So not surprised he outbraked himself, but it does show the increased performance as well, the fact that he's got the confidence to be able to brake that late.
Coronel, 1500th up on the fastest time of all on that first sector. Personal best sector 2. This is Coronel reaping the benefits of a tow from what looks like the Citroen in front, not sure. Oh, and somebody's lost a bit. Yeah, somebody has gone amidships over that. Not gone left, not gone right, just gone whammo right over the top of it. I don't know who's missing a bit of splitter, but they'll know.
I don't think I'd fancy standing there for too long either if I was that fella.
And his marshals are well rehearsed here, so running out, grabbing the debut, running back in to keep the session green. Lopez in the pits, and Coronel's lap finished with him in third place. Now, who was it who straddled the curb? Well, that's a different curb. Coronel aviating over the final chicane, and that's what it looks like on board. That wall on the right comes up very close in your peripheral vision, I'm sure.
Another good lap, though. I mean, that was fairly close. Look at Bonani.
Yep, Bonani second quickest. There's the local hero. I tell you what, if he can start on the front row here in a Citroen for race 1, holy moly.
That would be impressive. I think the grandstand would be shaking somewhat.
Well, he said before, hasn't he, when he's been on race podiums, this is like a victory for me. And when he did win in China last year, it had wrung every emotion out of his body. He just collapsed as he got out of the car and had to sit down for a couple of minutes before he could even speak. To be on the front row here at home, wow, that would be an entirely different league, and to be on the podium would be fantastic. But if he could somehow engineer a win here, wow. He would take that as being the equivalent of a world championship. He's become a very big sporting icon here in Marrakesh. Competing at this level is not something that many Moroccans get to do in any sort of sport. So he's weaving his way down the back straight. That'll be to try and cool everything down a little bit. Is he going to go for another lap on this tyre, or is he going to try a new set on the front?
I'm surprised to see Muller so far off. I mean, he's done 3 laps and he's 8/10 away from Lopez's time.
Back in the pits, looking for a setup change, maybe Muller. Lopez is in the pits, Michelisz in the pits. Qinghua Ma just back out, so he clearly was looking for a setup change as well. 4 drivers, Harry, in the Citroen team, the same car, but they'll all want 4 different things out of it. So I'm sure they've diverged in their setup, and we're only in the second race weekend. Yeah,
they'll all have their own individual setups which work for them and what they want out of the car. And like you were saying before, you can actually visually see the difference. Someone like Sebastian Loeb has a very, very oversteery car, and we know Muller does as well, but compared to, maybe Ma, who probably drives a bit more of a front-end pushy type of car, then you can actually see it in the dynamics of the car on the TV.
Yeah, more a single-seater style, because that's sort of where he's arrived from to come into World Touring Cars. And of course the problem then is, if you're not fast, you can't bolt on Sebastian Loeb's settings or Ivan Muller's or Jose Lopez, because they'll all be different, not just from your own, but from any of the others. So you can't say Lopez is fast, just set my car up the same as his, I'll learn to drive it. It's not that easy.
You'll also probably find that in different sectors they'll have advantages and disadvantages, and one car will invariably handle slightly better over the curb, say, because it's maybe a little bit more stable at the rear, but certain other corners and it won't be as good. So it is horses for courses, and what you can make work for you, really. Of
course, the other factor is that Bonani, for instance, has raced here every time we've been here from the very first race. That was the first day we ever saw him, was on the race in Marrakesh. Ma, never. And that's a huge lifetime of experience of the, not a lifetime, but, you know, a lot of experience, 5 years of this track that some of the drivers have got, and Mar lacks. You know, he hasn't even got 5 days on this track. He hasn't had 5 hours of driving in this circuit, so he's at that deficit as well. He daren't risk it and write the car off before the races.
Yeah, you just can't afford to do it. And a big shunt, like we said before, a big shunt round here is enough to cause enough damage to put you out.
Listen, he's 12th. It's better to start 12th and start the races and maybe have the chance of some points than bury it in the wall trying to be 10th.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a guaranteed 0. Lopez fastest, Bernani second quickest, 6/10 away on that lap. We have 5 minutes remaining, maybe time for one more shot. Local driver, local crowd for local people on a local racetrack. Jose Maria Lopez is fastest for Citroën, but Mehdi Bernani is second. Norbert Michelisz third fastest in the Zengo Motorsport Honda. And the Castrol Hondas, Gabriele Tarquini 9th, Thiago Montero 10th. Now they may be playing a dangerous game, looking for 9th and 10th, because after this session, 11th and 12th places, Daste and Mar, they're locked into 11th and 12th for race 1 and race 2. 13th on down, already locked in for both races. Top 10 will be reversed after Q2 to provide the race 2 grid. So at the moment, Montero, Tarquini would be row 1, Loeb, Chilton row 2, Vallant, Muller row 3, and so on. Top 5 in this session go through into Q3, so in fact my Muller quote was wrong, that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 will be the top 5 in race 2. Fastest 5 will go through into Q3, and in the order in which they finish Q3, that will be the top 5 in the race 1 grid. The poleman will then be 10th for race 2, so that'll also define their inverted order.
Well, I've just seen the two Castrol Hondas go out of the pit lane together, looking like they're getting ready to set themselves up for a tow again.
Because they have to defend from Stefano Daste and Quinhua Mar. They're not in 9th and 10th guaranteed, they're currently in 9th and 10th. And what they have to do now is gamble on how much faster they might need to go to stay in front of Daste and or Mar. And Mar just set a personal best lap all the way round, and he goes second.
Yeah, there you go.
So now, Thiago is 11th. And that's why they're back out, because the plan is not working at the moment.
No, somebody's got to jump Loeb, though, which is also going to be a tough job.
Well, Loeb is going to jump himself way up the order. There's no question he's not going to be 9th unless something dramatic happens in the last 2 minutes. So Loeb will be in front. So actually, what Tarquini and Montero have to do is catch the Chevys of Chilton and or Vallant and get in front of them. And at the moment, they're between 1/4 and 3/10 of a second behind them.
Well, gone wide.
Oh, he's done his lap. He's in the top 5. He's in Q3. So Q3 at the moment is Lopez, Mar, Bernani, Michelisz, Coronel. Note the lack of Loeb, Tarquini and Montero. So 3 factory drivers not in there that probably ought to. Although with 4 Citroëns, it's very hard to guarantee that any other factory drivers are going to get in. 68, there's Muller. He's not in the top 5. I didn't mention his name, did I? He's 6th at the moment, but he's on a quick lap. Coronel's parked. Coronel's Q3. He's on an out lap. He's parked. Yellow flags are out. Well, that's a mechanical issue. He's got there and he's pulled off the track because the car's gone brrr.
Look at this train here. You've got, well, Michelet's actually...
Doesn't matter, they're still in sector 2 and there's yellows out. They can't improve on that sector, so the speeds are now going to drop. And look, there's no attack there under braking.
Yeah, you're right.
Cruise, session's over. Session's over. And Coronel here just boo. And that's not running out of brakes. That's running out of drive somewhere, is it? Chunter, 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 chunter. Yeah. Well, now then. Green flag in sector 2, so...
He's moving again.
They've got a minute. Well, he's moving very slowly. They've got a minute. Anybody who's starting a... See, Loeb is now in the best position. Has he lost gears?
Yeah, or drive shaft, perhaps. Maybe because it was just after that big curb, so perhaps he's landed with a wheel spinning from being unloaded, and that's
He's not pulling the shift lever. He's lost gears. And he is absolutely livid. This is not him playing games, because actually in this championship you just can't do that. You get found out far too quickly.
Yes, it feels like it. It feels
not
like
the sort of guy who's doing
something
that.
like this. Very strange noise.
Missed the beginning of that transmission.
Very strange noises.
Yeah, feels like it. So it sounds like, well, yeah, something in the transmission has lunged itself, and you're right, it might have been, it's usually not the takeoff, it's often the landing that does the damage. So now it's back to square one. Everybody's on a flyer. Mikelish is fourth at the moment, but has to defend it. Tom's already been pushed out. Who went quicker? We got Lopez, Mar, Bernani, Mikelish went quicker, that's who went quicker. Loeb's fifth, Muller is still seventh, Tarquini 10th, Montero 11th. And this is where trying to get that reverse grid is such a danger. Yeah. Such a danger, because you can't control the situation.
No, there's too many, those top 12, any of them could get inside that top 10, so it's, you know, it's, as you say, it's too much of a dangerous game to play. You've got to go as fast as you can, and if you end up 10th, then happy days. But
well, in the top 12, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them could easily be in the top 5, and everybody else is trying to get 9th and 10th. Thiago on a personal best, Gabrielli on a personal best, Mars on another fast lap. Bernani's parked it. He's either done enough or has no more left in the car or himself. I'm thinking probably in the tyre. Tarquini in deep. That's cost him a few fractions.
He's in the wall.
Well, he had to brush the wall because he got in so deep there. He didn't want to lift off. Tarquini's lap, he goes from 10th to nowhere. No improvement. He stays 10th. Chilton goes 4th, Mikelish 5th, Loeb is out. Loeb is out. Lopez, Vallant goes 2nd, Mar 3rd, Bernani 4th, Chilton 5th. Where's Muller's lap? Muller's at the flag. Coronel's the only one who could challenge. Loeb has got a lap going. Where's Loeb? He's still on a lap. He hasn't taken the checkered flag. He's in 8th place, but he hasn't set a better sector time. Now he has in sector 3, but it's not enough. He takes the flag in 8th place. That came unravelled, really, that escalated fast. That came really unravelled for the two major factory teams. In our fast 5, Lopez for Sitchin, Vallant, an independent driver in a Chevrolet, Mar for Sitchin, who's never been here before, Bernani, the local hero, and Chilton in a Royal Motorsport Chevy. So of 4 Sitchins, Lopez got in, Muller didn't, Loeb didn't, Mar did. And that was about being in the right place at the right time.
I think it's the drive shaft on the left side.
The drive shaft?
I think so.
Not the gearbox.
Because if I have the gearbox, it makes like this.
In front?
No, here and here.
All right, well, there's only one way that's going to discover what that is, and that involves getting the floor off, getting the car up, and getting oily and grubby. However, unfortunately for Tom Coronel, what was a Q3 run leaves him in 9th, but that might be 2nd for race 2. More than one way to skin a cat in qualifying. Ivan Muller on pole for race 2. And Coronel will start alongside him. Alex Legui is with Tom Coronel.
Well, it went from being what looked like to be a sure top 5 to a massive disaster. Do you know what happened?
Well, I was quite fast at the exit here of the pit because I said go behind Sebastian Loeb. I think I pushed it a little bit too hard. I think it's a drive shaft or a differential because just here in the sharp turn, I could hear so it was metal. And then on the straights, I could hear it really well. So I said, shall I park the car, yes or no? But then I created a yellow flag. And I looked at the corner completely on the inside. They were still showing a yellow flag. But then others cannot improve. So I said, then probably I just drive it back. So I drove it slowly back. A lot of noise in the car. And disappointed because my car was really strong.
Okay, I think I can drive back.
Yeah, top 5 was possible. All the time we were one of the fastest Chevrolets. And yeah, it just felt strong. Car felt strong. Brakes were very strong. Just somehow it's not so... It's not so good if you have a Flintstone car, you know, there's not a hole inside. So, no, this is it. It happens.
In the Flintstones, they put their feet through the floor and run.
Yeah, I tried, but it didn't work. No, you know, it's a pity. To be honest, I may be even happy because my team said, Tom, you're probably P7 for race 1 and P2 for race 2. So maybe I've had a little bit of luck with this bad luck.
Indeed.
He's exactly right. As he said, 9th in qualifying, but there are penalties to be applied in front of him, so he will move up. 7th on the grid for race 1, 2nd for race 2. That's not too bad. Let's hear, though, from the man who'll be on pole for race 2. It's Ivan Muller.
Lots of gentlemen standing around Ivan Muller talking about the strategy and how the car felt. Ivan, is that a disappointment or is that a good plan that succeeded?
That was the plan. With the penalty of 5th place, it was no point to do the pole position. So that was the plan. But to be honest, with the Citroën, it's more difficult to be P10 than on pole position.
So in fact, a very good job from you to get the car in that exact position, especially with Coronel having yellow flag as well.
Yeah, but you know, it's tough. Good job from the guys behind the pit wall, because they told me what to do. Then I had to do my best to reach the target they give me. But it's a bit of lottery as well. It's a bit of luck as well.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, after last season, where everything he tried sort of went wrong, I think Ivan Muller's due a little bit of luck. And you know, the brains on the pit wall are often the ones who are really negotiating this. They'll say you need a 3.07, and he'll have to go out and produce it. But it is definitely teamwork that makes that happen, plus a little bit of luck. Getting ready for the first run in Q3 to get underway. It'll be that man in the Capsicum Chevrolet, Tom Chilton. 5th fastest in the first session, in the second session rather. Teammate Tom Coronel doing a bit of video blogging behind. If you've not seen any of Tom's reports, you really ought to. Tom Chilton, pit lane open for 20 seconds now for Tom, so he ought to get going. 4, 3, 2, 1, and green light. And is he going to bail on this?
Yeah.
Yep. Hang on, red flags, red lights. Red flag session, what's going on? Answers on a postcard, please. Tom Chilton bails out. He's obviously being told on the radio that they're...
Like a lengthy delay by the looks
Yes.
of things, because he's taking his helmet off, so...
Okay, so there's two things. There's a damaged car on the track, plainly not there, or something in the infrastructure. So somebody has noticed that one of the bolt-down curbs is no longer bolted down, possibly, which we've had before. But Stuart Cowie and the guys from RML...
I wonder whether that, obviously that is the issue, but perhaps Tom's opting to sit out and just take 5th. I mean...
Basically, if I left and didn't go out, I would have been P11. I only went 1.5 tenths faster, so I just pushed a little bit more. 10th and a half. Very hard to get it within a 10th and a half.
Okay, red light at the end of the pit lane, apparently. So, yeah, Tom has decided to kneel on this one and run the clock down. There you are, that's American football reference for you at best.
So,
there's no point taking the risk of damaging the car, and also, you know, it's another lap you're taking out of your tyres, which could come in beneficial tomorrow, rather than, you know, realistically he's not going to go much further than 4th.
Well, because he's going to the back, he's the back of the grid group, isn't he? Because he's had an engine change, he's got a new spec engine in, so yeah, he was never going to be in the top 5, he was always going to be at the back of the grid, so yeah, just kneel and run the clock down. So, next to take the snap will be Mehdi Benani. So the session wasn't stopped, it was just a red flag at the end of the pit lane to stop Benani going out. So let's hear from the horse's mouth. You can see Ben is down there, and we'll hear what Tom Chilton has to say.
Tom Chilton running away from me. Oh, okay, that's why you're running away from me. Tom got into the car, having been out of the car. Then the green flag went, you got out of the car again. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, we've got a gearbox problem. Basically, I don't want to risk anything. So doing low mileage on the car. To be honest, I'm really cross I'm in Q3 because I went out in the last run and I was P8 and I was trying to get P10 and the circuit was going so much faster. I thought there's a chance I'm going to drop out of P8. So I thought I'm just going to go a little bit faster. And I did. I just pushed a little bit more because I think the potential's front row. I think the car's going. Valente's just second. I think the potential's front row in the car. It's a nice car. But I'm trying to drive slowly because we have this engine grid place penalty thing. And I only went 1.5 tenths faster. I went from P8 to P5. And I was like, I didn't want to be in Q3. I want to be P10.
You're saying that because you're thinking purely about race 2, and therefore reverse grid P10 would have been 1.
Yes, exactly. So starting P5 is not fantastic. So hey-ho. But at the end of the day, RML's very happy because they've just given me and Valente a new engine, and we're clearly at the front again. So RML Group's all smiles behind me.
Good stuff.
Cheers, thanks.
And not only have RML produced aero updates, they've produced his engine upgrade as well, so the car remains a front runner. And RML got their cars in amongst the Citroens. Citroen didn't get all their cars, they only got half their factory cars in the top 5, and Honda got none.
Yeah.
Not only no Castrol Hondas, they got none.
Yeah.
So no wonder Stuart Carey and the boys are looking pretty happy with themselves, and rightly so.
It's a good effort because you think how much development goes into these engines, and there's a lot of hard toil goes on behind the scenes. So when you actually see it translate to a result like that, then it's why the guys are happy, and they deserve to be.
Now we're following Mehdi Benani right from the beginning of his lap, because normally as he's on his warm-up lap, we'd be watching the guy on the left there, Tom Chilton, absolutely flying, doing his fast lap. When Benani starts his fast lap and goes past the pit exit, then the next car out will file in behind and do the warm-up while the guy in front of him is on the fast lap. So that'll be Quing Hua Ma, so he'll be the next car to go out. There's the engineers on the Citroen Pratt perch watching Mehdi Benani. So Benani, with no engine penalties, no driving infringement penalties. He's not one of the 7, is he? So this will be a for real lap. And he at one stage was second fastest before the final foray. And he will want to put his car, if he humanly can, on the front row of the grid.
Benani's always been quite quick round here. Obviously, it's his home circuit, but it's not like a normal circuit where you can actually go down and test and race on a regular basis. This is only, once a year.
Yeah.
Kind of deal, but yeah, he's always been fast here. So I wonder if it's the effect of the Nigel Mansell home crowd thing.
Well, there is, I'm sure, a degree of that, but then the other side of it, of course, there is a lot of pressure and distraction from being a super-duper star with all that brings. And talk to Sebastian Loeb about that. Talk to Tom Coronel about the pressures of a home race. We had one race in Zandvoort. It may well be the worst ever World Touring car weekend he's ever had. Apart from taking the King round or the Prince round for a drive, I don't think there was anything else good to write home about in the entire weekend. Benani, fastest first sector. And fastest second sector as well. Purple helmets all the way round. Nice tidy lap. And actually that was one of the hallmarks of Hugo Vallant, is he kind of snuck under the radar because his lap was so tidy. And that speaks volumes about his confidence in the car and his confidence on the track. And I think, actually, oh, hang on a minute. Let me, before I say anything silly, has Vallant got an engine? Of course he has, he's got an engine change, hasn't he? So Vallant may sit this one out because he's going to the back of the grid anyway. Okay, Vallant apparently will go for points, says Ben in the pit lane. Benani goes fastest, but then it would be hard not to. He could have cruised around in first gear, he'd still have been faster than Tom Chilton, who didn't leave the pit lane.
You're right, though, it looked a nice, tidy, clean lap. It was maybe ran a little wide here, but generally speaking, that looked fast.
That's that last sausage, and that is the one that potentially pitches you in the wall. And that's the one, actually, that got rid of Gabriele Tarquini last year, not because he hit the wall immediately, but because he caught the curb by the wall on the exit, and that spat the back of the car into the barriers on the opposite side, and the front followed. Benani now on his way back in, as finishing his warm-up lap is Quing Hua Ma. And the onus now, of course, on Benani is actually to hustle a bit and get back to the pit lane and absolutely not under any circumstances be anywhere on the track that Ma needs to be concentrating on.
Yeah, that wouldn't go down too well, especially internally with Citroen politics. I would
and there's not the remotest chance that Benani will even be holding anybody up. So Ma now has the opportunity to put himself on the front row for Citroën. And again, a man who's never been on this track. Okay, you know, he's done it on the simulator, but again, as you know, simulators one thing. When it's actual concrete walls that you're brushing alongside, that's very different.
Yeah, simulator can't teach you about the fear factor of thinking, oh God, I'm actually going to smash into this wall. And it's the bumps as well, which, you know, you learn where the actual exact bumps are, which you don't really pick up from a simulator, but it teaches you where's left and where's right.
Threaded the needle very well through the curbs there. Little slide in, but got it under control. How much does that cost him? Personal best in the first sector, but not as quick as Bernani's. And slides it in here. Threaded the eye of the needle pretty nicely. Hugo Vallant is out on track, so he is warming up as Bernani is back in the pit lane. Quinhua Ma, a better lap, a good lap from him, but it hasn't gone pink or purple, whatever the colour is on our monitors, hard to tell. And that means that Bernani should still stay on top. Little trail of smoke from the unladen left rear. Finish line very close to the final corner. You're still rowing your way up the box, H. Just hanging it on the limit there to the line. Fastest final sector of all, but not enough to go quicker than Bernani by 0.4 of a second. However, given that Bernani has raced here in different machinery, but raced here every year that we've been here, and Ma's never seen it, I'm saying that's a good lap from Ma. Now, question is, how good?
It's good, isn't it? But I think we're going to see the real potential here when Lopez goes.
Yeah. But also, now, can Vallant displace local hero in championship-winning car from front row?
Well, we know the Chevy's going really well this weekend, and we heard it there from Tom Chilton before, that this engine update seems to have made a big difference. So, you know, never say never, but I do have a strong feeling that we're going to see a Citroën 1, 2, probably 3.
Alex Legui in there with Mehdi Bernani. Mehdi will now want to watch the next lap because he will know that Ma has not beaten his time, but Hugo Vallant is the next man to take a tilt. Oh, and that's it gone.
Game over.
Okay, oh dear, and a long way off. I thought he was going to make it round there, locked up way too deep. That's not what anybody wants to see because, I mean, after all, Bernani was in the wall very heavily last year, knows what that's all about. Vallant is okay, but he did not need damage. Out on the dirt beyond the white line. And that means, Harry, no grip at all.
Yeah,
the final ignominy is bouncing over this little last pink bit of curb. Wheels off the ground. Well, they're not going to slow you down in the air.
No, it's well positioned, isn't it, Fred?
Yeah, well positioned to enhance an incident. That was him seeing Ma not getting a lap rather than seeing Vallant in the barriers. Oh, Hugo. Well, still a top 5 time, but he will start at the back of the grid with a damaged car. Now then, this means that as Ma comes back in, Lopez has not yet left on his warm-up lap. This is possibly the most bizarre Q3 we've seen. Mehdi Bernani is watching it all transpire, sitting on pole with 1 car to go, and Alex Legui is with him.
Well, local hero Mehdi Bernani has just found out that he will be on pole position. Congratulations. We still have Lopez to go. Currently sitting in second.
For me, it's a great honor to fight with Jose Maria Lopez for the pole position. It's something, it's like a dream, but it's the best present I can give to the King of Morocco, the partners, and all the spectators are here, because without them, I am not here.
I saw your eyes as you were watching the screen. You just see Ma's lap there. You started to well up a little bit. How does it feel?
It's very tough. We are fighting against the best cars, the best drivers, so it's not easy. My position in the beginning was not the best, but I was driving like this on the limit. Alhamdulillah, it was going, and first row, it's something unbelievable for me.
Someone is looking down on you.
I told you he'd be a happy bunny if he ended up putting his Citroën on the front row of the grid. Incidentally, hearing from Ben in the pits at Royal that Tom Coronel's air jack was coming down and was what was dragging on the car. So the gearbox, the transmission is okay. And he will start race 1 in 7th place, race 2 in 2nd. Banani, of course, last year on the front row for race 2, the reverse grid with Coronel. This year on the front row, guaranteed now, no matter what else happens, for race 1. And that, Harry, that is a sea change. That is a very big difference.
It's a big up, isn't it? You know, if you know you can qualify a P2 like out of total ability rather than necessarily from being on a reverse grid pole, then it is a big difference. Yeah. It's a big cap. It's a big pat on the back for you, and yeah, he deserves it. I mean, Banani's he's driven really maturely in the last couple of years, and he's really starting to show his potential and drive maturely, and he does deserve it. And you know, he is against the Works factory cars here, and he's doing a great job. He's taking the fight to them, so he deserves it.
Ma with the yin and yang symbol on his helmet, and just taking a look at the car, look at the tyres. Lopez was just about to be dropped down and sent out of the pit lane because he should have come out 20 seconds. He is pumping up the forearms, ready to wrestle the car around. He should have gone out 20 seconds after Vallant went past pit exit, but in fact Vallant crashed and brought out the Reds less than 20 seconds before, but only 2 or 3 seconds in it. So Ma lies second, Banani first, Vallant in the barriers, and Chilton sitting it out in the pit lane. 1 car to go. Jose Maria Lopez. So our race winner in Argentina, a race winner here last year as well, our points leader. And where will Sebastian Loeb start? Well, of course, they'll all shunt up a little, 2 places, because Chilton and Vallant were both going to be dropped out the top 5 anyway to the back of the grid. So Loeb will move up a little. And there is Ma.
So what do you think, Martin? Do you think he can do him? Do you think Lopez has got it to...
Yeah, no question in my mind at all that Lopez has got it, but whether he produces it or not remains to be seen. You know, we've seen very, very few missed opportunities. If he was an England cricketer, England would be winning a lot more cricket matches. He does not drop catches.
Yeah.
He does not miss opportunities.
Very few mistakes either.
Yeah. Well, 2 very happy bunnies, fastest at the moment. Here's Qinghua Ma.
Well, Ma, a great result there for you. It must be very, very good to be up here in the potential for up in Q3. I can't even speak now. How are you feeling?
Well, it's great, but we have some, for my car, I have some tire warming problem. So it's really difficult in Q3 because it's got just 1 shot. So I'm preparing a lot for the outing lap, but I think it's still far because for the practice session, we're always trying to improving for this point. But as the weather now is increased, the temperature help, but it's not as much as what I want. Yeah.
Thank you, Ma. Lopez is out.
Interesting. So he has been working on setting up the car for high ambient. Now that may pay off for him tomorrow if he says that the track didn't come to him as much as he wanted, didn't get as hot as he wanted. Well, of course, we're not racing for another 2 hours tomorrow, so it'll be another 2 hours hotter, and it will be hotter. Very interesting. Jose Maria Lopez.
Perhaps that explains that slide we saw. You know, if he didn't quite get the temperature he was anticipating.
Maybe didn't get the rears warmed enough. Maybe that's what he meant rather than track temperature warm. That's probably more likely. Fastest first sector for Jose Maria Lopez, 32.97 seconds. That is not the fastest we've seen. Banani went purple through all sectors. Lopez is behind.
This could be interesting.
Now see, what is Mady watching? He is watching a picture on the left of your screen. Well, in fact, he's seeing the whole thing, so he's seeing himself as well. But he's not seeing the split times. So he doesn't know if Jose Maria Lopez is up or not. Green in the first sector for Lopez, pink in the second. So this could be the best lap. It could just be a better lap. Lopez rides the curbs nicely. Didn't take quite as much green on the exit as Banani. The final sector he's in now, it will decide it. It's from just in the braking area for that last chicane on the back straight to the finish line. Bernani on pole at the moment. Lopez comes to the line and goes to the top of the pile with 2 fastest sectors, and he's on by a quarter of a second, 0.255 ahead of Mehdi Bernani. Sorry about the lack of running clock on the screen. We didn't have one here in the booth either. So Jose Maria Lopez does put on pole, 1:43.85. The extant track record was 1:44.71. So we are 9/10 of a second inside the track record, and it is not James Thompson on the DHL pole position. Unfortunately for him, it is Jose Maria Lopez. I guess they start with the same letter. J for James, J for Jose.
Must be disappointing for Bernani, but you can't really complain with that lap. It was a great effort, and Bernani's lap as well in his own right. It was, you know, it was only 2/10 away from that lap of Lopez. So, you know, you can walk away from there with his head held well high, because, like we said, Lopez has driven amazingly all last year, and
well, listen,
rarely drops the ball.
Bernani out-qualified his team boss, Sebastian Loeb, and he out-qualified 4-time world champion Ivan Muller, and he out-qualified another factory Citroën driver, Qing Hua Ma. So he's out-qualified 3 of the 4 factory Citroën drivers. The only man to beat him is the reigning world champion. Yeah. The only man. That is a good qualifying run from Mehdi Bernani. It's not a good qualifying run from Mehdi Bernani. I'll rephrase that. It's a great effort, and he looks like the cat that got the cream, and so he should.
Especially around here, it's so hard to overtake. So, you know, if you're starting up there, there's a good chance of finishing up there. Yeah.
And you also know, from a front row start alongside Lopez, with Ma and who's going to be 4th on the grid, not Vallant, not who was 6th? Loeb Muller. You know, he's got a very, very good chance of making it safely through into the first lap. And from there on, really, are the factory cars going to be just told to go by him and him to pull aside? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't see how that plays out as a good idea for Citroën. I think Bernani's got a very good chance to be on the overall podium here. Incidentally, we did go into the Citroën garage to ask what the extra lever was by the brake lever, and we were told to go away in English and French. So we'll go and ask the drivers, because clearly the guys in the garage didn't want to tell us. We're sensing that it's probably a lock-on, so you set the clutch pedal to the bike point and then maybe use a little aluminium lever to hold it there while you've got the brake on as well. Yeah. But we need to have that cleared up.
It looks like a line lock that locks something to do with the clutch, so you can get the clutch in the biting point, and something to do with that anyway. But it's pretty trick. I don't remember seeing it last year. And
yeah. So may well be a new development this year. 24 Hours or Moto du Mans, the motorcycle 24 Hours of Le Mans, of course, is going underway at the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans at the moment. So the Eurosport viewers will join that shortly. For everybody else for joining us, that is the end of our qualifying transmission. We will have a quick word with the man on pole position if we can. I'm sure Alex Legui will be rushing off down there to try and have a quick word with Jose Maria Lopez. Carl's trying to tell him he's left the lights on or some such. And another pole position for Lopez. That's 2 for 2 this season, which immediately should send Neil Hudson of Touring Car Times scrambling for the record books to see A, how many per season is a record, and B, how many consecutive is a record, and whether we can carry them over. Who was on pole for race 1 in Macau last year? If only I could remember stuff, that would be really useful, wouldn't it, in my job?
That far back either.
Kiss from 2 French speakers there, from girlfriend Victoire, and also from Citroën PR man Jérôme Roussel. I know which one I'd prefer, but I'm sure Lopez is in the same boat as well. Mehdi Bernani goes 2nd, Ma 3rd. Vallant will drop, Chilton will drop. Norby will be 4th on the grid, or as he had. No, he hasn't got a penalty. Thiago 5th, Loeb 6th. Coronel goes up to 7th ahead of Muller.
Yeah, because Coronel
for race 1. Yeah, because Coronel hasn't got a penalty. Yeah, so no, Muller's got a 5-place grid drop, so he doesn't go up to 8th. He goes back down to 9th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So whoever was 11th for race 1 moves up 3 spots. Entertaining stuff.
Dans le premier secteur, t'étais moins vite. Hein? Dans le premier secteur, t'étais moins vite.
Well, Jose Maria Lopez is our pole man for race 1 here in Marrakesh. Qualifying result not exactly WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. What you see is what you've seen. A flurry of penalties and all sorts of other nonsense will completely change the order. Behind Lopez and Bernani are front row men.
Here he is again, pole man once again. Jose Maria Lopez, Pachito, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very happy. First, starting to thank the team. They did a fantastic job again. The Series A is always very competitive, so it's much easier for us. It was a quite strange qualifying. I know, it's not the same. Sometimes going in Q3, having Sebastian and Ivan, I'm not taking the merit to the other ones, but sometimes, they give me extra work. I know they are in the same team, so congratulations to Benami. He did a very good qualifying. And I knew that in Q2 I did a good lap, so it was not necessary to maybe risk or try to find that better lap for Q3. So I took my margins, and it was a good lap. So I'm very happy especially to take, to be there all the time is very important. Today Seb and of course Ivan, he played on a strategy, but to be always consistently on Q3 is very important for me, because in the end of the year, I think it's good for the championship. So I'm very happy. This track is very difficult. You have to run through the curve, through the wall. So it's a very good sensation to be in pole again.
Great result, well done, Pachito.
Great result indeed for him. Ivan did what he had to do. He had to negate the race 1 penalty, and he's done so. He has the chance to win race 2, but Lopez has the best chance to win race 1 here in Marrakesh.